Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Centerville Grace podcast, where every single week we do our very best to help you, our church family, dive deeper into community. The three amigos back again.
Back again.
What's new and exciting in the church?
Man, we just wrapped up our fourth week of Discover Grace, our fourth and final week of that. And so for those who participated, thank you so much for sticking with us. And it was a great time last night. You were there last night. And
Yeah, Darren and I got to come. It was good. We talked about my favorite thing in the planet, disciple making. So it was a good and God did some cool stuff while we were there.
Cool things.
Yeah, there was some emotion, there was some connection. It was the good stuff.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. So it was good.
Yeah.
And we have men's group, men's man up coming tonight again. I'm a couple days ago. So bad at this, guys.
It's happening every single week.
Yep.
Every single week.
Every week. Could we talk about last Monday? Could we
last Monday?
Next Monday?
Last Monday was epic. So
it was epic.
It was epic. We talked about leadership and how we're encouraging our men to take ownership of their leadership. And so it was a good discussion, and hopefully we can get some more
marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage this week. So
yeah. Well, we already had it. So.
Yeah, but it's still this week.
It's this week.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's good.
Yeah.
Dusty, save us. What else is What else is going on in the life of the church? We got Easter's coming up.
Easter is coming up, and really cool. We had great services on Sunday, and one of the most exciting things was we had two decisions for Christ from Grace Kids. And those are going to turn into baptism stories. I didn't really have a chance to catch up with you guys on that. So
that's awesome.
I don't know if that's new information or not.
That's new news. New news.
New news. Yeah. So, two girls are going to be, they're looking to be baptized on Easter Sunday.
That's awesome.
And that's just really cool. It's a great way that, we know that we're at least doing what we're trying to do, which is walking along with people in their faith. And that goes all the way from, kids to families and everywhere in between.
Yep.
And so if you're listening to this and you want to say yes to Christ and have that outward display of baptism, you can sign up at centervillegrace.org/signups. Next steps. Dang it. Hi guys.
You got a lot going on this week.
My name's Tony, and I'm currently thinking about 1,000 things. So we'll get it. I promise.
That's just real life. We want to be authentic here.
You know what it reminds me of, though? It reminds me how important it is to take a pause.
I was like, say your thing is perfectly full now.
Perfectly full. I even thought I poured some out, but then
no.
This is how it works. Sometimes we pour out ourselves and we create a little margin, and then
it rains.
And then it rains.
Yeah.
It rains.
Literally.
Yep. So,
but you didn't spill water on anything important. I am so proud of you for that.
Yeah.
And I was equally nervous the whole time.
We all were.
Did you get them on the front row, guys?
Oh yeah. I gave a little sprinkle to the middle school kids up front.
Good. That's good.
They needed it.
Yeah.
Also, pause retreat. I want to make sure that we talked about that because I know spaces are limited.
Yes.
Yeah. I think people are filling up. And so May 2nd, Deer Creek State Park, you can sign up at centervillegrace.org/nextsteps, where everything that you need is. And so don't wait, sign up today.
And the Restore Conference is coming.
Yeah.
For the ladies, sign up has not opened up yet because theirs a little bit different than the men. They take 1 day for signups, and ladies fill that up in 1 day.
Sure.
What I mean is, it's kind of like the Hunger Games. That is.
It is.
It goes live, and you claim your spot.
It goes live. So more information coming on that, but be ready. Be ready.
Yeah, I love retreat season in our church.
Yes.
It's good.
Yep, absolutely.
It's good. So this week, Pride. We got to talk about Pride this week.
Pride in business. Yeah.
You got to talk about Pride.
Yeah, but you guys helped.
How did the preparation go? Tell me about the preparation, man.
Oh, it was good. It was, one of the areas where you challenged me that you and I had talked about was to work further in advance.
Yeah.
To work further in advance. And so my message was done probably 10 days ahead of schedule.
And that is huge.
That's
a huge improvement. Yeah.
I don't know if I would say improvement. I would say it's a vast difference from my normal operating standard. I would say the quality of messages are both, I mean, it's, like one implies that there's a bad quality, implies that it's better.
Well, improvement on the plant or the preparation, right? You have more preparation time. That's an improvement. No?
Well, it's I mean, I guess it just depends on what your value is.
I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
I could see how that would be a value to you, though.
Definitely. Yeah.
If I was sitting here with anybody else, I'd be really uncomfortable right now. But I'm not. So I don't
Did you feel like it improved your overall sermon or sermonizing to prepare that far in advance? Did it help at all, or was it just basically the same or worse?
My initial gut instinct is to say that it improved in this regard. The water illustration that I used in the middle of the sermon, and if you haven't watched it, you can check it out on YouTube. About the glass full, that was not in the original writing.
Yeah.
I added that on Tuesday or Wednesday of the week. If the sermon hadn't been already written, I don't know that I could have added it.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And so that was probably the best gift of the pre-preparation, the advanced preparation compared to my normal rhythms. I also, I like living in the text. So my normal rhythm is to try to live in the text a week or two before, but I don't typically write anything down until about midweek of the week that I'm preaching. And then usually I can finish the sermon pretty quickly. And then I'll go back and revisit it again on Sunday morning. And that's also typically when I do my slides.
Right.
And then
Right.
So in the slides world, I'm a little less slide intensive than you are.
Just slightly. Yeah.
How many slides did you have in your last sermon?
I average probably around 90 slides.
Tell them why that is, though, because they don't see 90 slides.
So instead of having notes on in front of me, I have cues in the back. And so a lot of those extra slides are just the cues to trigger the next thought for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I probably do about 30 slides, 20 to 30.
But you don't have a lot of cues at all.
I don't have any cues on but I do have my iPad.
Right.
Which I use as a security blanket.
Sure. Yeah. I use the back and I'm
100%. 100%. How many slides for you?
I'd have to go back and look. Probably 30-ish, 35 maybe.
So what you could say is two of us represent normal or average, above average.
I give my slide guy a workout on that. He has to start beforehand. Yeah.
So how does pride show up in your guys' life? How does it?
Oh gosh.
How does pride show up in your?
Right in.
We're just jumping in.
Well,
How does pride?
I mean, where else do you want to go?
Yeah,
Tell me.
that's right. That's appropriate.
Trying to get to the good stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I take a lot of. I like to think it's healthy pride in what I do. It's probably not as healthy as I would like it to be. Here's the thing. I have a phobia in my life of appearing unprepared or appearing too scattered. All right. So whether that's that's been in the music world for a long time, and learning instruments and performing a lot in public and DJing in public, like all this stuff. There's a lot of things I do in a very public setting. In fact, most of my life, I would say at this point, is lived out in the public sphere more than it is in the private sphere.
Sure.
So I always want to come across at least semi-professional and prepared, and I don't like to look like I don't have the right answer for something, even though sometimes I probably don't. I mean, a lot of times I don't have the right answer. So I don't know. It's just those eyes that just pierce.
Finally, somebody else is getting that now. Right. That's good.
I know.
What about pride for you?
Oh, geez. So I'm a number 1 on the Enneagram, which is like a moral perfectionist. They're just trying to make things better. And so the pride comes through judgment, and I see right and wrong, black and white, how I think it should be done. And so
you could say something like, getting your sermon done earlier makes it's such an improvement.
I'm waiting for that. I'm just waiting.
I mean, it was like a softball, a volleyball. You just kind of hit it up there for me to spike it.
Yeah, I teed it up for you. Yeah, totally. It helps me being prepared weeks in advance because I can add things in, right? So I don't know how I'm back on that. we're there, but it's the pride of just knowing or believing that I'm right and everybody else is wrong, and my way is the right way of doing it. Definitely comes across. Yeah, I can be judgmental.
So you said something that I heard in between services a lot on Sunday,
Hmm.
this idea of healthy pride.
Yeah, what is that?
So, well, it's really it's an interesting tension when you consider the way Paul writes the text, especially when you follow it all the way down to the always.
Right. We'll get the
Yeah,
always.
I know.
Boy,
Is that
yeah.
this week? Always?
No. Another week.
Another week.
Yeah.
So this idea about love is not proud.
Mm-hmm.
And so then is there such a thing as healthy pride? And if so, is it void of love?
Yeah, so the psychology, or are we getting into like psychology and ego and having a healthy self-esteem versus healthy pride?
Unclear.
I don't know.
I'm unclear about what we're
I don't
getting
know. I don't know
into.
what we're getting into either. Well, how do you guys define pride? How do we define pride?
Yeah. Well, let me take a stab at what I would call, I guess, healthy pride, if such a thing exists. At least it does in my mind, apparently. I don't know if it's right or wrong. Is if you, how would I describe it? If you want to do something as well as you can possibly do it, put as much preparation into it as you can, and feel good about what that is. Okay, so whether that's so let's take it into a skill set. Okay, so like the ability to preach. Okay, that's a skill set that you have to hone and you have to develop. So to me, a healthy sense of pride would be saying like, hey, I feel like I can craft a message that is clear and articulate and gets through the points I want to get to, and that I'm fairly adept at delivering that message in a way where I'm not stumbling through all my words. So like to me, pride is a lot in preparation, and it's a lot in just the execution. So it's not to say that, hey, I can do this better than anybody else. It's just say, I feel like I've put enough effort into it. It's almost like the opposite of lazy me. I think that's how I view it. I view healthy pride as the opposite of lazy.
So confidence? Is it more of a confidence?
It might be. It very well might be.
Yeah.
It's just like, I want to do something that I feel proud of. So like, I assume that for you guys, you don't want to ever go and give a message like, man, I feel like that was really terrible. Like you want to be able to say like, hey, I feel
I don't want
proud.
to do all this. Sometimes it happens.
Well, it's like wrong, right? Sometimes it happens.
It's like,
It does. Yeah.
But it's like I want that to be the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's open for debate. You guys tell me.
I actually wonder if Paul's theology around pride is that anything that is good that comes from us is really from Christ.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so therefore the only thing that I can be ever really be boastful in is Christ.
Yeah.
Right? And so then that means that I have nothing in my life to be proud of.
Apart from Christ.
Yeah. Right. And so like all the good things in me are really just God working. And so really I don't have, I'm not good on my own. Right. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's that quality of like, I want to do a quality job.
Right.
And so can I look back and go, that is quality. That was good. And I think it's okay to say like that was good versus that wasn't so good. But yeah, where did that goodness come from? Yes. And this is the thing, I think, well, okay, so God is always partnering with man in everything that you see in the scriptures. It's, apart from like the very beginning when he's creating stuff on his own, because we're not there yet. Outside of that, it's always God is working through mankind one way or the other. And ultimately perfectly through Jesus, right? The God man. And so he wants to partner with us and he wants to work in us and through us. And so I think it's okay to feel good. Like I did a good job and I'm, if you want to use the word proud of it, like because it's good, but just knowing that it really wasn't me just doing it. It was God working through me.
Yeah.
And
I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
No, yeah. And I don't mean to interpret that you were. No.
Yeah. So I think that would be healthy pride in the sense of I look at it and go, quality, good. Thank you, Lord, for allowing me to be a part of that. I think that's healthy pride.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that vessel, the vessel image for me is the one that I cling to the most when it comes to my relationship with Christ. Like if I'm doing anything good, then I'm a vessel for Christ in that moment. And those are the best moments of my life.
Yeah.
I'm curious where that intersects with, like spiritual giftings, right? So like like if you've got, so I think everybody's, if we have the Holy Spirit within us, there are certain things that individuals are gifted to do for the kingdom, right? The purpose is to be used for the community of God, for the kingdom of God. And I think those things take a little bit of investment on our part. So like, unless you're, one of those 0.001% of people, it happens to be, some kind of savant prodigy in something. Like I think there's gifts that God loans to us that he expects us to do something with. And I'm curious, I know feedback on this because this is my own theology on this a little bit. Like, and what we do with those giftings, like we can be really lazy in those giftings. We can say, hey, I've got the gift of administration in my life. So I'm really good at organizing things. That's not me, by the way, but just throwing that out there.
I knew that actually.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's spicy today.
This is my favorite kind of you.
Yeah.
Spicy today.
I'm a 5 on the Enneagram. That means when I'm feeling really good, I turn into an 8. So I will challenge you right away. I love that.
Let's go.
That's living into the health right there.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's something with the giftings there, and like, God desires something of us to do something with the gifts that he loans us. Because I do consider every talent that anybody has, anything that's good in my life is from God, and it's like, what was the Blues Brothers quote? It's like talent on loan from God or something like that. Yeah. It's like, that's actually the way I view spiritual gifts. And like, I think that we honor God by doing our best to cultivate those gifts and prepare them on our way. That's how, one of the ways we can pick up our mat and, join God in the process. So it's not just saying, hey, God's going to do everything. If it's good, it only comes from God and I have no role to play. I think there's actually maybe something deeper there that, no, God loans us these gifts that we're meant to do something with. And I think we honor God by then trying to cultivate those. Like, maybe we honor God by, I want to become a better speaker when I bring a message over time. So I'm going to invest in that. I'm going to invest in getting better with it because I'm going to take it seriously because I don't want to waste whatever God gave me. And I think he expects us to continue to hone that.
Yeah. It's Rush Limbaugh, by the way, that says that.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, was it not Blues Brothers?
Blues Brothers says, we're on a mission from God.
That's the one.
Rush Limbaugh
That's
says,
the one.
talent on loan.
I knew I heard that at some point along the way.
Yeah. So we're quoting Rush Limbaugh today. So that's great.
And Blues Brothers.
Oh, listen, that's definitely an excellent
podcast. Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the stewardship factor, right, is what you're talking about. How we steward what we have been given, for sure. And that keeps us, I think that stewardship mentality keeps us having a healthy balance. We're not owners, and yet we're not nothing either. Like we're, it's not all our, so we're stewards. It's not ours, but we're partnering with God in this process.
And I actually think that echoes Paul's sentiments in 1 Corinthians.
Yeah.
I was just getting ready to pull it up. 13 starts with, if I speak in the tongues of men or angels, but do not have love. And so I think Paul is kind of alluding to that idea of gifting, right? If I have incredible gifts like speaking in tongues, right? Or because 12 is all about spiritual gifts, right? And he talks about spiritual gifts in the body, spiritual gifts. Now, eagerly desire these greater gifts. That's 12:31. And then 12:31b is, yet I will show you the most excellent way. And so then he goes on to talk about that idea. So what I love about what you're saying there is that I think that there is a really important connection, is that if whatever gifts that I'm stewarding on behalf of God, if they don't also translate to the relation. Oh, did you see that just happened? What? There was a giant heart.
Oh, it's still doing it. Hold on. We figured that out the other day. You can't make a heart. Don't make a heart. Well, now I have to leave it in because this is really good.
I was like, what's happening?
Sorry, we learned that mistake from Dave. I still haven't figured out how to turn that off, apparently.
No, I can't.
No.
Just you. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yes. You guys are both in the heart club.
Anyway, so what was I talking about? Oh, yes. So God gives us these spiritual gifts. It's our job to steward these gifts. And part of that stewardship, I think what Paul is saying, is dependent upon how we love one another, which is why it's so important to define it. And why I think kind of the rally cry for me around this sermon series is what is in us gets between us. Because if no matter how great my gifts are, if I alienate the people in my life, I am limiting God's ability to work through me.
It's good. Yep.
I don't know what else I was going. Thanks. I'm glad.
It's good.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Good.
What do you think, Dave? What about spiritual gifts and stewardship and pride? And how do you? I mean, listen, you are one of the most self-criticized people I know, right? In other words, you are so critical of yourself. How do you fight it?
Yes. I wish I had a clear answer. I'm trying. I don't know if I'm succeeding or not. But I have to just tell myself it's going to be okay. It's fine. It's good. Like I just have to remind myself, you could have done it better. You could have done this, but you know what? It's good. It's good. And my Heavenly Father, I think, is probably more proud of me than I think he is.
Yeah.
So that's a whole bunch of counseling right there, getting me to think that way. But yeah.
Well, so I do think that's really important though, right? Is that realizing that if you've got a loop, like a mind loop, or sometimes I've heard it called head trash, around your abilities and the way that you see yourself, one of the only ways to break out of that is with other people.
Right. And it's a form of, like what I'm doing is a form of pride. Self-criticism is a form of pride because it's all about who? Me. I can't get off of me. Like I can't not focus on me.
I talked about that yesterday a little bit with the idea of a savior complex,
Yeah.
or like,
Yeah.
oh, I really could help them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
And maybe also like, what's good boundaries look like, or what's honoring the covenant of, my family look like, or how does all that play together? And so it's still, I had a couple people come up to me and were like, but shouldn't I help them?
Right. Have you guys read Mere Christianity? Have you guys read that book?
Oh, not
Probably been a
forever.
while. Yeah, it's a classic. I encourage everyone to read it. C.S. Lewis does a great stuff on pride in that book. But yeah, I mean, the classic definition that of humility, it's not thinking less of yourself, thinking of yourself less.
Yeah.
Right. And so pride, I think, is the reverse of that. Is just you're just constantly thinking about yourself, and you got to get your eyes off of you. And that's the art of self-forgetfulness is the Tim Keller book that he used to spring off of what C.S. Lewis wrote. And that's just a powerful way of just thinking about, man, if I can just stop focusing on me and start focusing on you, suddenly what was getting in between us was my pride and my eyes on me. Now I can help you and love you and care for you. And
How do you remember all the books you read?
That's impressive.
I don't. I feel like I don't really, but
I mean, I've read that book. I don't remember anything like that. So,
I was like, oh yeah, I should have went to Mere Christianity for this.
it's a classic. Yeah, it's a classic. I had to teach that in seminary. I did a class for freshmen, and I had to help facilitate that class. So that was a little bit more ingrained in me than probably most of us had.
And then you just quoted Tim Keller.
Well, I mean, it's
how long did you read that?
all years, but it's but I think I did a small group on it. I did a life group, so again that was a little bit more ingrained because I did a life group with it.
Okay.
So, yeah,
that's good.
sorry guys.
No, you don't have to apologize. We're not being. I'm. It's clearly a gift that God's given you.
Well, I feel like
Don't be proud.
I feel like I don't.
Don't be proud of it. Just
accept it.
Just say thanks.
I wish I could retain more actually, but
That might be prideful.
because I know guys who can like really retain.
Sure, absolutely.
It's frustrating when I can't.
Or is that envy?
It's envy.
Yeah,
for sure. Totally. I wish I had that. I wish I had that. It's really helpful to be able to just rattle off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
So that's a thought, right? How does, in a relational context, like I think one of the ways you can figure out if you're prideful and you're getting in the way of a relationship is how do you take feedback when somebody gives you feedback? So we just gave Dave feedback.
oh, I'm terrible at receiving good feedback. Like, yeah,
But you're amazing at receiving horrible feedback.
I am.
If I was
love it.
like, dude, that was a dumpster fire, you're like, okay, let's make it better.
Yeah,
Every sermon, right?
because
Let's make
that
it
just
better.
affirms what's already in my head.
Yeah,
And that's the hard part. I'm like, well, yeah, yep. So let's make it better. Yeah.
Yep. I have a hard time just saying thank you when somebody gives me positive feedback.
too.
I'm working on it real hard.
I don't want to come off prideful, like, oh yeah, I know, like, yeah, it was really good. So, but just thank you.
Just thank you.
Yep.
How do you do it?
I just say, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah.
It used to make me very uncomfortable. And I have had to work in my life on just being able to say and just accept it and not because like my own form of pride, especially early on. So I always be like, oh no, it wasn't good. It was terrible. It's like I got to the point where it's like, no, it was fine. Like sometimes I can be good at what I do, and that's okay. I just want to say I appreciate it, and that's very sweet of you to say that. Thank you. Glad God used me in something.
And so here's the thing that's interesting. You have a particular set of skills that not many people in the world have.
Taken. Yeah.
What's that?
No, the movie.
Oh.
Taken. Sorry. Well, I have a very particular set of skills.
You have a very particular set of skills. I've never seen anyone do on a piano what you can do on a piano. Like just
there's dozens of us.
Around the world, there's maybe 12.
12,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
12.
That's not a quote, but we will talk about that later. That's
So I would imagine that's an area where do you have some semblance of like, you're probably not the best in the world, but you're elite.
In the scale of things, sure, but
how do you
but
deal
there's
with
thousands and thousands
Sure,
of people
sure.
that do it much better than I can. Much better.
So
And that's okay. And that's
that is the tension, right? Like it's a both and kind of tension.
sure. Like I can say at this point in my life, like I'm confident in what I am good at. And also know that I am by no means ever going to be the best at anything. And with musicians, it's really funny because you can think, man, I've done this my whole life. I'm so good at this. And if you jump on YouTube for about 2.5 minutes, you'll find an 8-year-old that will put you to shame. So that's just the reality that's just how it is.
That's great.
And that's okay.
That's great.
That's why I've gone with preaching, because I can't find 8-year-olds that can do preaching as well as we can.
There was a kid. Oprah was there.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
I
the
do.
fire and brimstone.
Yeah, I do. But it
I mean, I won't say it was good.
It was.
But he was confident.
Confident. That's half the battle right there of
It is.
preaching.
That's a whole other topic.
How many weeks do we have left in the sermon series?
So we have this coming Sunday and then the next Sunday.
And then March 30th is Family Sunday.
Yeah,
We're ending on Family
We're
Sunday.
ending on Family Sunday. Yeah. Yeah.
You're doing it.
And I'm doing it. I'm really excited to be able to hang out with the kids more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
I won't live up to you, but I'll do my best because you're pretty good at the kids.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So I'm testing you there. I was testing you there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's a growing edge in my life. Closing thoughts, gentlemen. Closing thoughts. Do we have any? Can we please lay in the plane?
Yeah. I'm gonna go to relationships because we did a lot of the theological and philosophical, but tying it back to the relationships. Like I do think that when people give you feedback in your life, especially if they're in your friend circle, within your family units, within the community that you operate within, like in our church, it's how responsive are we to feedback, whether it's good feedback or bad feedback. And if that, I do believe if that triggers something strongly within us, that's probably a sign one way or the other there's some pride there. So just being able to accept it and just be malleable and say like, hey, I'm willing to take whatever somebody brings to me, whether it's a problem or whether it's a compliment. And like, if I'm always open to that, then at least that's a good way to check on where my own pride lies.
It's good.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on this. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I was driving home when I listened to your sermon, so I was a little bit distracted at times. But pride and identity, in the sense of with scheduling, if I can't let something go in my schedule, is it because I have taken so much pride, like that's who I am and that's what I do, and I can't let that go? I can't, for somebody else, then I would say that's a check or cue that maybe you have placed your identity in something, other than who Jesus made you to be, and in Christ Himself. And so, are we free enough in our scheduling and our yeses and nos to drop something for somebody? Because at the end of the day, it's about relationships. It's
Right.
about being with people and loving people well. So I think creating that margin, as you said, allowing that space so that you can be there present with somebody is huge. So pride, I think, keeps us from that in so many different ways. But identity, the piece of identity is huge too.
Yeah, I if there was an area that I could have dove deeper into, if how sometimes there's like rabbit trails,
so many
like
things you could talk about.
the idea of justification being the lead indicator for an area of pride.
You said that. Yeah.
Like, and for me, that's something that I just think is like, if there's an area of my life that I'm justifying, then maybe it's like, I can't meet with them because I'm so important over here, or I can't, it's okay if I just have a couple beers, or go to this website, or talk about somebody behind their back, or insert any number of things that separate us from Christ. That justification for me is such a leading indicator of where pride might be.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I think, I would just encourage you, our church family, that if this is an area that has really stirred something up inside of you, disciple making relationships are a great place to talk through this stuff, right? Where you can get into the sin issues, you can get into the life issues, and kind of, it's not going to make it all go away, but it might make it a little clearer. And at the end of the day, that's why it's so important to make sure that no one walks alone. Thank you, guys. As always, we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. See you real soon.
Can't do it.